Let's say you wake up one day and you have this revelation, you know that you're an artist, this is your calling in life. It gets to this point where you can't ignore that feeling.
First thing is that if you truly want to run a successful small business, you can't make selfish art. You can't make selfish art. Selfish art.
Do you think artists are selfish? And when it comes, I can see all the pieces and I'm trying to put it in a sequence of how the work is supposed to be laid out. During that process, it did cause issues in my marriage because I would ignore everything around me. The dog, my partner, my husband, phone calls, it didn't matter. But it was just this need to virtually get this thing before it passes. I don't expect anyone to believe why this makes sense. I think that when you are dealing with creativity, be it music, literature, you are in this creative flow that all outside forces and all outside influences don't matter. You just completely shut off and you focus on the work in front of you or what you're trying to do.
Hi, pigs!
Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Henry Haight. I'm a multidisciplinary artist and my pronouns are...
I'm a thief and a shit kicker, and I'd like to be famous.
And... Today's video is going to be the age-old question, a little backstory. When I'm painting this stuff and I'm taking a break and I need to have a brain fart, I will go down the rabbit hole of social media and YouTube and to see what the kids are doing and all that stuff. And I came across a video by a girl named Tammy who made a video about harsh truths and selfish art.
Oh, this bitch want to get hurt.
And the question I want to ask is, you guys, do you think artists are selfish? Or in the new age of social media and the rise of the influencer, are they the same thing? Is there such thing as a selfish artist versus virtually selfish art? Now, when she was talking about, making selfish art and virtually she honed it down or whittled it down to a product.
The first thing is that if you truly want to run a successful small business, you can't make selfish art. I'm so afraid to start off with this one, but it's true. The point of any business is to add value to a customer's life. So especially when you're first starting off, you can't just say, I made this cool design, I think it's cool, please buy my art. No one's gonna buy that, because who is this even for? No one is gonna spend their hard-earned money on something that they don't feel a deep connection to. And this may be a hard pill to swallow, especially if you design your own products and art is so personal to you, but just because you worked super hard on something doesn't mean it's gonna sell. Frankly, it's not enough. It's not enough to make things that only you enjoy. So at first this may seem very restricting and this might be off-putting to a lot of artists, but I'm not saying to completely disregard your taste. You can still make things that you are proud of and things that you enjoy to make so long as you do these few things. First, you want to identify your audience. Who are you making products for?
And yes, I do believe that there is a commodification of art. However, looking at her website and everything, would I call it art? No. I would say she's definitely artisanal or an artisan in a sense, but art, no. No, because it's just virtually verging on craft. And I'm not saying this to not at all. However, in her video, she talks, one of her other videos, she's like this romanticizing of what an artist does. And, in today's day and age, we need to stop reverting to the tortured artist or the starving artist, the Van Gogh myth of never selling only one painting and then chopping off his ear and making all these beautiful paintings in an insane asylum. However, social media is a curated, I think social media, the stratosphere is fake as fuck. people are always, trying to be transparent, and they're trying to do this all in the guise of I'm honest. And sure, there are some honest people out there, but there are some. Social media is for vain sons of bitches, including myself. And there are times where I will rock the whole bird in male peacock form, but the whole thing of social media is to amplify your ideal self, in a sense. And a lot of the topic of selfish art versus selfish artists, and I was taken aback literally by going through her to look at her art, and I found a $65 pencil holder made of polymer clay, and I was like, is this bitch for real? I'm like, what the fuck? This isn't Lalique. This isn't Cavassier or any top brand shelf thing, or Wedgwood. I'm just like, how did you out of polymer plastic? Come on. The thing that I feel that is truly important about why artists can be selfish is that I view real artists, actual artists that have that feel the need to create, the impulse to virtually create a body of work or express themselves, is a calling. And not like, you have some oracle come and, shake the baby and say, this one's a doctor, this one's an artist. But when you get this creative flow, for me anyways, it feels like a rumbling, and I can almost hear it coming, almost kind of like the sound of a lorry or an 18-wheeler. I get a rumble in my stomach, and then I can see snippets of things that I'm supposed to piece together. And when it comes, I can see all the pieces, and I'm trying to put it in a sequence of how the work is supposed to be laid out. During that process, it did cause issues in my marriage because I would ignore everything around me. The dog, my partner, my husband, phone calls, it didn't matter. But it was just this need to virtually get this thing before it passes. I don't expect anyone to believe why this makes sense, but the whole thing is that I think that when you are dealing with creativity, be it music, literature, you are in this creative flow that all outside forces and all outside influences don't matter. You just completely shut off and you focus on the work in front of you or what you're trying to do. You can't get that solid product. Yes, the whole thing of, back to Tammy Uncomfy Girl, selling products and all these things. But the reality is artists focus on the art, worry about the actual sequence of what they're going to do with the work. Give it to a gallery, give it to an art advisor, whatever. But the whole thing is that the process of trying to create this is the selfish need to virtually their own personal need to put the work first.
I don't want to lure people into this fairy tale idea that artists are necessarily likable people or even good people. And I think that there's a reason that they're not. I don't think that artists are going to be personable or acceptable in the way society today, I think, wants them to be. And by principle, I don't think that they should be necessarily. I want to talk about this idea that artists are selfish.
There's also a balance outside of that you have to figure out what you're going to do and make good on this. And I don't think that everyone has to agree with the likability of being selfish. Or you don't have to agree with the process of what an artist does when he shuts down and just focuses on the work. But for him or for her, they are virtually putting the work and the process of that to expel it, to put it out, and to share it with the world. It's a form of self-expression that they virtually when they're honing their crafts, nothing else matters. And I think that's the most important thing that comes through within their work, is that they're virtually putting their wants for the benefit of art. The thing with the start of selfish art is an idea of someone who wants to use their voice or visualize something, manifest something that they believe truly in. And all artists, I'm not talking about influencers, artists have this gumption that whatever their idea, that light bulb switch in their head, that visual is going to manifest into something that they think is a great idea. That can be perceived as being selfish. However, I believe that artists to a degree are selfish, but great artists also have to be selfless, in the sense of they're trying to create a thing of beauty for the greater good. And with my other video of Stuart Semple, no good deed goes unpunished. And I still believe that. But the whole thing is that in this day and age where everyone has a fucking opinion, the artist has to counter with everyone's public opinion, public scorn, scrutiny, all those things, and then virtually go through the process of creating a work in the hopes that, that they sell it or whatever. But the thing with going back to this girl Tammy and the selfish art thing, yes, she's creating a product, a very expensive product that's not necessarily a necessity. I myself would not pay for a $65 pencil holder or a Japanese anime plushie. I clearly am not her target audience, but the whole thing of like selfish art, people can look at Picasso's paintings of women. Like right now I'm working on a painting, La Demoiselle Jolie en Rosé, based on La Demoiselle d'Avignon, which is the ladies of the brothel ladies of Avignon, and essentially, because he was a notorious womanizer, he cheated on all his wives. I know a lot of people right now are like, however, he is considered a genius at what he created because he changed the art game. Now, the thing for me is that art is necessary. How can I put this? Is that if you're going to make selfish art, great. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself, where do you want to take this art, and how is it going to actually improve the world? That's the main thing. I think that people who commit to creating art don't necessarily want to be selfish in the sense of, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want, and blah, blah, blah. Yes, there are things that could be vanity projects and stuff, but I truly believe that when someone is trying to convey a piece or work or music or literature, their intention is to share it. No one joins a band for anonymity. You write a journal to keep secrets and stuff like that, but when you're writing literature or a book, you want to share it with others. And as I've said, I do believe that art should be accessible to everyone. Not everyone can afford it, but there are levels in increments to how you can share it. And I think the process, sometimes you have to delve into that, I don't want to say narcissistic, but that selfish pull, like, no, I need to do this for me and the work. And that could be construed as selfish. All art is selfishness to a certain degree, selfless, and an act of rebellion. That I truly believe. It is an act of selfishness, selflessness, and rebellion. And here's why. You're proclaiming your importance to the world by your visual, how you view the world. You are also hope to bring impact to your vision and start a dialogue or change people's perceptions through your view. you're also trying to make a difference with your art. And I'm not saying that everyone could paint a Mona Lisa, not everyone can paint a Guernica, but what happens is that when we pick up pencil to paper or brush to canvas, we are virtually using our voice. You don't get that with a fucking plasticine pencil holder. I don't care what you fucking say. You can come for me all you want, but yeah, that's not art. It's craft. Fronting is art. Bottom line. And at 65, come on, really? Who's selfish here? And a lot of these videos, I thought it was a bit rich that, her audience is funding her lifestyle in a sense, and I find the whole topic of like sharing the issue of money. The only person I talked to about money, it was my husband and my accountant. And, here are the receipts, here's this, here are my losses, here's my wins, just keep me out of prison. And, the whole thing of this transparency stuff is kind of great because I think it is a form of bragging in a sense of look at how much money I make. And this aspirational thing, you too, but not everyone could do that. And in a sense, that is quite selfish, like bragging about how much money you are. It's how much money you've gotten, or your new lavish apartment. I was introduced to a photographer called E.J. Balak, who photographed sex workers in New Orleans in the red light, the French Quarter. I was introduced to him by one of my favorite artists, Joel Peter Witkin. Now, Joel Peter Witkin does reference a lot of master works and reinterpret them, and essentially since this whole Me Too movement, I thought the whole thing of sex workers and my history with working in porn, I wanted to do my interpretation of this. Is that selfish? In a way, yeah, but at the same time I'm hoping that what I'm putting in will virtually get somewhere else in the long run. I'm having this focus of where I want to take this artwork. That's a risk all artists take, but it isn't the commodification of the YouTuber generalization of like, oh no, this is selfish, but buy my products, buy my tote bag. I've sold everything in between, but the whole thing is that with artists, you are in a sense being selfish, and you have to all artists have to have an ethical checks and balances to virtually be on par with making the world a better place, because essentially you're trying to make a thing of beauty or what you feel is beautiful. I'm not going to get that from a plasticine pencil holder or an anime plushie toy. Sorry, that's just not, like I said, I'm not the target audience. But I do think that when you are given these gifts or your talents, you need to try, or you should at least want to give something back. And recently I've joined a project called Homes. What is it called? Homes in Memorium. Homes in Memorium. And essentially it is to help the families create an artwork for the families that lost their homes in the Los Angeles fires, the Eaton fires, the Pacific Palisades, and all that. And throughout the course of my career, I've raised money for the Amy Winehouse Foundation. I've given art for auctions for Ukraine, as well as the fire that ruined and killed many people in the Grenfell Tower in London, which I virtually lived 500 yards away from. Art can do great things and help, and that is one thing that I believe that you should try to do with your art, to be selfless in that respect, so you have this balance of checking yourself with your ego, because an artist does have an ego, and in that sense, in that realm, in that scope, you're allowed to be selfish in that sense. But with the charitable portion of your side, if you have that, you should be able to sit there and say, okay, I'm going to give something back. and make a difference in some way. But in terms of, being selfish, I do believe that a lot of artists can be selfish in a sense, and you need to be in that respect. You have to have a sense of an ego to think that what you're creating is going to be the greatest thing ever, but at the same time be grounded in some sort of reality. Once you finish the work, what are you going to do with it? You can make calendars and do all this stuff, and and it has to align with how you see and package you and your brand. And the reality, here's the thing: there are artisanal craft people who just make goods that people think are cute and stuff, and that's great. That's fine. I don't knock the hustle. But when it comes to art, visual art, people want to invest not only in the art, but they want to invest in the artist, because the artist also tells the story. When you are an artist, you are virtually trying to tell your story, and part of that of you has to seep into your work. And that is that, and you have to be 100% authentic and fuck everything, and even if it rubs people the wrong way, because eventually that audience is going to find you. And in that sense, yes, you're being selfish, like, no, I'm going to fucking believe in this and soldier on, and I'm going to hear 10,000 no's before I get that fucking yes. And that's the nature of it, because art is not fair. Count your blessings for what you're doing. But I do think that when you are being selfish with your art, you have to figure out where this balance of like how it's going to impact your world. You also you have to be ethical in the sense of your products. I've had dogs where I've had to minimize the toxicity of that and virtually try to reclaim or upscale certain stuff of prints. I sell phantom prints because I just don't want them to end up in a landfill, and people happily buy these things. So I'm always trying to figure out ways to minimize not only my carbon footprint, but just to kind of like, not everyone can pay retail, but at the same time, I don't want to have a loss at something, just because it's not, for me, it's not about money. Creating selfish art, in a sense, there's vanity art for sure. But I think that, artists in general, and I'm not talking about influencers, I'm just talking about people who want to paint, sculpt, and make art that makes people think. I don't knock the hustle, because one, if this is going to be your passion and your life's work, there are days where it's not going to feel like work. But there are days where it's going to feel like a fucking, salt mine, coal mine. And you just have to fucking work through it. But at the end of it, when you feel that, there is a sense of relief. And that might be a little selfish to go, I achieved the impossible. I finished this fucking piece of artwork that was just like combative. And I always have a celebrate, kind of drink, or, just kind of, I still have to treat my work as a business and virtually, figure out what this is going to cost and break everything down. That's just normal. If this is going to be your job, you have to have that mindset. However, when it comes to making the art, no, there are artists that do, I do believe that have, there are artists that do make selfish art, which doesn't really say much to me, but I don't think they make much of an impact because they rip off other people, and in a sense they don't really put a spin on anything new. And although I've said in my other videos I try to make my work more transformative, I still have to put my spin on how I'm viewing this, and virtually then tell my story of how the work came about this way. So, but I'm still honoring the past rather than coloring by numbers. There's no fun in that. One thing I do want to go back to the homes in Memorium. Homes in Memorium are looking for artists to help close a gap to the people who lost everything. A house can be a home, but it also has memories, for loving families who have lost virtually everything. But the kindness of others, helping them restore a building block, is a great thing. So I will leave the link down below. I think there's about the list is growing. So I will leave the contact link. So if you want to help a family, I'm doing too. I will show. Hopefully, if I get the family's approval. But Homes in Memoriam. Also, for all those artists that want to do good with their work, go to your local city website and look up artist opportunities, because most cities will have some sort of artistic opportunity for artists within that community, it being murals or art fairs, do whatever, to virtually kind of build your art community outside the fucking art community on YouTube and Instagram and all that shit, because to me it's an art cult. There, I said it. Man, your art is not necessarily a product. It can be if you make it one, but essentially ask yourself, what do you want to do with that art, and how do you want it to change the world? If that's selfish, then we're all fucked. But the world right now is quite fucked. But yeah, I'm gonna shut up now. Keep watching, keep creating, give back, make a difference. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure, help a brother out, subscribe. And with that, you guys, I tip my hat off to you. Yes, artists can be selfish to a degree. So with that, keep creating. Peace.
Yoko? Oh no!